I was by no means an early adopter of EVs. I've only been driving them for about 5 years, but I do feel that those 5 years have given me the experience necessary to be able to share with you all the good and the bad things about EV ownership, driving EVs, and generally living an EV lifestyle. So let's get into it. So what are my qualifications for being able to list off these pros and cons then? Well, my first EV was a Vauxhall Corsa-e. It was brilliant at first, but it did end badly. Then we got an MG4 on a salary sacrifice lease. In fact, we've still got that at the moment. There's a couple of years left on that lease. And finally, I have a Tesla Model 3 long range that I purchased second hand. That also had quite a few issues too at first. Yeah, I've had a pretty crappy experience with my EVs so far, but even so, I am still a convert. I wouldn't want to go back to a petrol or a diesel car at all, and that's because in my eyes the pros very much outweigh the cons, and I'm going to start this off by discussing costs. EVs are cheaper to run than a petrol or a diesel car, that's a certainty. At the time of recording this video, the trouble in the Middle East is causing a spike in fuel prices, and EVs aren't immune from that, but they are more shielded. Diesel is well over £1.80 a litre right now, so if we pretend we had to fully fill up a 65 litre tank, then that's £117. Assuming we're getting 50 miles per gallon, that works out at 715 miles of range, assuming we're using British gallons anyway. On fuel alone, that is 16.3 pence per mile. Now if I charge my EV at home, let's take my MG4 as the example, that's got a 50.8 kilowatt hour battery. The current intelligent Octopus Go off-peak rate is 8 pence per kilowatt hour. I actually pay 7 pence at the moment, but let's take the maximum. A full charge of that battery would cost £4.06. The MG4 has an efficiency of about 4 miles per kilowatt hour, or a range of 203 miles on average. That's 2 pence per mile. In the winter it's going to be more expensive, so let's pretend we're only getting a winter range of 180 miles. We're still paying only 2.3 pence per mile. So 16.3 pence per mile for a diesel car, or 2.3 pence per mile worst case for an EV charged at home. That's undeniably a big pro of EV ownership. And it's not just fuel that's cheaper, maintenance costs are lower too, due to there being far fewer moving parts and generally less to go wrong mechanically. There are no cam belts to change, no oil filters or spark plugs to replace, no gearbox or clutch to go wrong. Most services on an EV will change the cabin filter for you, maybe change the brake fluid too every few years. You've still got things like suspension and brakes to maintain, but that's nothing compared to a combustion engine car. Even main dealers acknowledge it's less expensive to maintain an EV. Vauxhall service plans for EVs start at about £12 per month, but for ICE cars they start at £19. But of course there is a con to this, or a few cons actually. Firstly, EVs do tend to cost more to buy up front. Actually, I almost abandoned this particular con because I went and checked the prices of the Vauxhall Frontiera, comparing a hybrid with an EV, and the hybrid was actually more expensive than the EV. £24,885 for the hybrid, but only £23,495 for the fully electric version. So instead I decided to check the prices for the Vauxhall Corsa, and the petrol version starts at £19,725, but the full EV version starts at a whopping £27,430. Honestly though, you'd have to be mad to be spending that much on a Vauxhall Corsa when the Frontiera was £3.5 grand cheaper for starters. That sort of price difference between petrol and electric cars is quite common, but it's difficult to compare with a lot of brands because there are a lot of electric only models now. So I chose to compare the Corsa because they do both a petrol and an electric version. But there was another reason for using the Corsa as an example, because whilst EVs are generally more reliable, when they do go wrong they can be very expensive to get repaired. Not just expensive actually, but also difficult to find someone who can fix the problem. So you tend to end up having to use the main dealer, which will be expensive. Our Corsa threw up an error message and it ended up having to go to the Vauxhall main dealer to be repaired. It was out of warranty too, but they did end up fixing it for free, luckily. Being able to charge your EV at home is brilliant and is the cheapest way to run your EV. If you have solar panels, then you can even use the energy generated by those to charge your car for effectively free. Whether that's a good idea or not really depends on the tariff that you're on and how much you get paid for exported energy. But it's still possible and is one of the greenest ways to charge your car. Having to visit a petrol station to go and fill up is something that I don't miss doing, especially when you ended up with your hands stinking of fuel for the rest of the day. Home charging means you are shielded from things like petrol price rises or those queues that form on busy bank holidays or when there's a fuel shortage, when people are scrambling to panic fill their tanks. But what if you don't have your own driveway or a home charger? I'm quite lucky. I've got off-road parking for 2 vehicles, but there are a lot of houses in the UK with no off-road parking. Rows of terraced houses that are built right up to the road. Parking for these houses is usually in the road and there are solutions available for homes like these. Things like charge gullies from Turbocharge, which lets you run your charge cable safely across the pavement. With a lot of these terraced houses though, you just can't guarantee that you'll be able to park right outside your own house. Mostly they don't have dedicated parking, so it's a bit of a free-for-all. There are other solutions like curbside public EV chargers, but then you're paying public EV charging prices. And the problem with that is public EV charging can make it more expensive to drive an EV than a petrol one. Right now, unless you have your own driveway that you can easily charge your car on, EV ownership sadly just isn't that attractive or easy. Honestly, I don't think I'd want an EV if I didn't have my own driveway. I know it's possible to live with an EV and just use public chargers, but that's a lot of hassle and inconvenience. Range anxiety is a real thing. There are some people who insist it isn't, and for them, they might be right. But I bet they are generally less anxious people anyway, and probably don't overthink situations like I do. Day-to-day driving, it's not a problem because I just plug in regularly and keep the cars topped up. Little and often is the rule, but on longer journeys, that's when you have to do some careful planning. I think I was scarred a little by our experience with the Corsa because that car had a 50-50 success rate when using public chargers, so we always had to plan where we were going to charge and then have backup locations for the backup locations. If you think about a car that has 200 miles of official range. Let's say you are going to get 180 miles realistically. You're not going to want to actually drop to 0 miles and expect there to be a rapid charger right there. You're going to let it drop to maybe 20% or 35 to 40 miles of range left before charging again, just in case you need those extra miles to find another charger. Or what if there's a diversion on your route or something? And then when you charge, you're going to take it up to about 80%. Any higher than that and charging becomes quite slow. So you really are talking about a window of 100 to 110 miles of usable range on a journey between charging stops. Now that does sound like a reasonable time between natural stops in your journey anyway, but here's the issue. Most of my longer journeys will be to a few destinations. I would have to charge at least once on the way there. I'd likely do some short journeys while I'm there, meaning I'll need to charge up before I come home. And then I'd need to stop and charge on the way home too. So driving somewhere that's 170 miles away for me usually involves 3 public charges in the MG4. But that's why I got the Tesla. Because that has a maximum range of 360 miles, or really about 290 miles now because it's a bit old, I only have to do 1 public charge stop on one of our typical long journeys. There's no messing about trying to find a charger at our destination, and crucially it shaves a good hour off our journey time because although rapid charging an EV is fast, those charge stops add up and really eat into your time if you're on a day trip. EVs are better for the environment than petrol or diesel cars over their expected life cycle. They don't burn fuel directly, so there are no tailpipe emissions, which means less pollution for starters. But what about power station emissions? Well, EVs are about 90% efficient, whereas petrol cars are only about 20% efficient, which means that even charging an EV from a grid that's using energy from a dirty source is better than burning the fuel directly. And those figures are taken from the US Environmental Protection Agency. And yes, there is generally a higher upfront carbon footprint in the manufacturing of EVs because of the larger battery. A study by the International Council on Clean Transportation puts that at about 40% higher production emissions. But crucially, those extra emissions are offset by the time you've driven about 17,000 kilometres. I'd cover that distance in about a year and a bit easily. It doesn't take very long for an EV to overtake an ICE car in terms of better overall emissions. The more you drive, the better an EV is for the environment by comparison. Comfort and convenience, where do I start? Apart from the range issue, it's just pros for an EV. I love waking up to a fully charged car and not having to go and fill up at a petrol station. I like being able to preheat and de-ice the car in winter while I'm still lying in bed. I like that it's generally a much quieter drive than in a diesel or a petrol car. And the instant torque and rapid acceleration is like nothing you've ever experienced before if you've never driven an EV before. So look, I'm not going to pretend that EV ownership is perfect and rosy. It's just not for everyone, that's for sure. But for I reckon the majority of people, it is the better option, cost-wise and convenience-wise especially. Anyway, I hope that you found this useful. Please give the video a like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for free to see more from me. A massive thank you, as always, to my channel members and patrons listed here for supporting the channel. If you'd like early access to my videos and some bonus content too, then check out the details in the description for information on joining. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.